Luke, page 84. Our bathroom is positioned directly across the hall from our classroom. Who cares, right? I never thought anything of it until the day I felt trapped out there. I saw the shakedown, dollar word, all compliments of Peter. I was in the classroom working on my holiday center. All my materials were spread out on the floor, and I was busy calculating the proper dimensions for my game board. Mr. Terupt was on the other side of the room, checking in with a different group. I didn't notice Peter. I stretched out on my belly and worked the math. The soles of my sneaks pointed up, a great invitation for mess around Peter. I never felt a thing. He's definitely sneaky. I sometimes wonder what's the likelihood, dollar word, Peter will grow up to be a world famous thief. I had no clue anything was even happening until I heard the giggling and Peter said, "Hey Luke, what kind of sneaks are those? Elmer's?" I popped my head up. "What are you talking about?" "Better be careful. If you try to go anywhere in those, you might get stuck." I looked back at my feet. Mess around Peter had struck. The bottoms of my sneakers were completely covered in Elmer's glue. "You jerk," I said without any real authority. Truth is, I didn't really care. It wasn't worth getting upset over. Besides, I'm sort of used to Peter's antics. I thought they were always harmless. I untied my shoes and placed them next to me, bottoms up, of course, until I finished my math. Peter's victory celebration was cut short by my easy solution. Maybe I don't get upset with Peter because I know I'll always outwit him. This drives him nuts, and I love it. Once I finished my calculations, I grabbed my sneakers and headed to the bathroom. Mr. Terupt was still busy with a different group, so he didn't see any of Peter's shenanigans or me leaving the classroom. I held my shoes under the sink and washed off the glue. Then I wiped the soles dry with a paper towel and put my sneakers back on. I pushed the bathroom door open and quickly jumped back inside. I was trapped. Mr. Terupt was having a conference with someone out in the hall. I pushed the door open just a crack to see who it was. "You've done it your way," he said. Mr. Terupt had his back to me. He was leaning forward, talking to the person against the wall. "Now you'll do it my way." He straightened up and folded his arms. He meant business, and that was when I saw who it was. Black and purple streaks covered her cheeks, a combination of her makeup and tears. Alexia, crying. I'd never seen or heard of Alexia crying before. "I like you, Lexi. I want some of your classmates to like you too. I'm trying to help. I want you to be friendlier, dollar word. I will not tolerate your meanness anymore." Wow, was this really going to work? "Go into the bathroom and wash your face. Come back when you're ready. Is there anything you want to say before I go back in?" Alexia stormed past Mr. Trupp without looking at him and without saying a word. Mr. Trupp let out a big sigh and shook his head. Then he walked back into the classroom. I wonder what he was thinking. I decided not to say anything about my sneakers. It didn't seem important. Mr. Terupt had more serious matters on his plate, like discipline. Dollar word. I waited a few minutes before following Mr. Terupt into the classroom. I didn't want it to seem obvious that I'd been eavesdropping, but I was eager to tell somebody about what I had just seen. That's why I think I walked into the classroom a little rushed and wasn't really paying attention. Even if I had been, it probably would have happened. I'd barely walked through the door before I stepped in a puddle of water. My feet went up and my arms flew out. I flailed like an ostrich trying to catch its balance. Somehow I managed to stay upright after sliding across the linoleum floor to the carpet. Mr. Trupp was having a serious conversation with Jessica, Danielle, Jeffrey, and Anna, so he didn't see any of this. But Peter, Ben, Nick, and some of the other guys rolled around in hysterics. I knew what they had done, or should I say what Peter had done. He likes to put his thumb over the opening of the drinking fountain, dollar word, and push the button. It's another one of his infamous stunts. This one makes the water shoot all the way to the floor. That was how the puddle miraculously appeared on the floor. Whether Peter meant to have the water on the floor or if it just ended up there after he sprayed someone else, I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. I didn't have time to do anything about it because someone else came through the door just after me. She must have been making her rounds, going from class to class, just to visit for a few minutes. Today was her unlucky day. Mrs. Williams took one step into our classroom and hit the water. I felt sorry for her. She was wearing a navy blue suit, a jacket, and skirt with high heels. She wasn't able to keep her balance. Her foot shot way out to the side as soon as it touched the puddle. I thought she was going to do a split, but then her other foot touched the water and slid forward. Mrs. Williams fell backward with her arms grabbing empty air. She landed smack on her back, right in the water, with her legs stuck in the air. That was when I saw my principal's underwear. I couldn't believe it. I knew I shouldn't keep staring, but I couldn't look away. We all gawked at her multicolored flower underwear, and that's not the best of it, or the worst of it, if you're Mrs. Williams. Her underwear was a bit discombobulated. In other words, she had a wedgie. It was unbelievable. I'll never forget it, not as long as I live. I swear it. It was the day I saw my principal's underwear and more. Mr. Terupt rushed over to help her. The rest of us fought to keep from laughing. It was our principal, after all. Even Peter wasn't snickering. He actually looked nervous. Mrs. Williams, are you okay? Mr. Terupt said, helping her to her feet. Peter, get some towels to wipe this water up. Why did he pick Peter? Because he knew Peter's antics led to the water being on the floor? I'm sure it was his way of letting Peter know he knew. I'm okay, Mrs. Williams said, brushing herself off and smoothing out her clothes. Sorry for the interruption. She turned and left. How embarrassing. As soon as the door closed behind her, the laughter and whispers started. Clearly, this can't happen again, Mr. Terupt said. We're lucky Mrs. Williams didn't get hurt, or that someone else didn't either. I expect we won't have water pooled on the floor like that again. Mr. Terupt looked directly at Peter after saying this. Yep, he knew. He shook his head, then walked over to his desk. I thought for sure this event would be unequaled, dollar word, by any other for the rest of the year. Little did I know that something much bigger was coming our way. So, real quick, that's obviously an example of foreshadowing. So, the author is telling us something else. I mean, more traumatic than a principal and the kid seeing her underwear, principal falling on the floor. So, we'll have to obviously look for that. And then, if you want to pause, you can pause here and maybe flip back through. Did you catch a signpost or two? I for sure caught one or two. So you can stop the recording and go to your signpost log and go ahead and write it down. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next chapter, page 89, which is Alexia. Teach was like, Alexia, I think it's time for you to follow me. I went into the hall with him. He closed the door behind us. Teachers had done this stuff with me before. I was like, no big deal. I didn't even give Teach a chance. They're being so mean to me, I blurted out. They won't let me do anything. Jessica thinks like she's the boss. But this is where Teach was different again. Wrong, he said. Stop. But he put both hands up. Just stop, he said. I was quiet. He looked right at me. You're lying, and I don't like liars, he said. You're being mean, and I don't like mean people. I felt real tears coming. I didn't want to cry, not for real. I squeezed my teeth together and scrunched my eyes. I held my purse hard with both hands. You're acting like the meanest girl I've ever seen, he said. I couldn't help it. The tears came. I was really upset. I looked down at the floor. I'm not being unreasonable, Lexi. I was like, yes, you are. But I didn't say anything. I'm telling you the truth, and sometimes the truth can hurt. I kept my head down. I pulled the tissue from my purse and wiped my eyes. He was being a bully. I know you're not mean, deep down inside, Teach went on. So stop acting like you are. Miss Kelsey has told me some amazing things about you in her room. He didn't get it. Nobody was going to be my friend. I know because that's how it was before. Kids made fun of me because of my clothes, because of how I talked. Leopard Lexi and Lexi like, they called me. And then one day in third grade, I attacked back. I yelled at some girl like mom and dad yell at each other. And after that, no one wanted to be friends with her. It didn't matter that what I said was a lie. They ditched her and became my friends instead. Just like that, I became the leader. All of a sudden, I was getting all kinds of attention, unlike at home. Mom was around, but usually too upset over dad, because he was never around, to worry about me. And then last year, she hit her limit and threw dad out of the house. Mom told me then, Alexia, don't let people push you around like your father did to us. You take charge and fight back. So there's no way I'm going back to being nice. Nobody's going to make fun of me again. I don't remember anything else Mr. Terupt said. I was too mad to listen. I hate you, Mr. Terupt. Wow, so that chapter has a couple of signposts that I noticed too. And keeping in mind that we're learning a little bit more now of Lexi's backstory, not excusing her actions, of course, but now maybe understanding a little bit more as to why she acts in the way she does. Okay, so if you want to pause, you can record your signpost information if you found one. I'm not asking you to do one for every single chapter. I'm just giving you an opportunity to make sure you remember to record something. Okay, moving on to page 92. This chapter is Jeffrey. Did it help? I asked Jessica one day in our Ramadan group. We were just doing some research on the computer. What? She asked. Did telling help, like I to B? I think it helped a little, she said. I stared at the computer. I'm listening, she said. You won't tell anyone, I said. I won't tell, she said. Promise. Because nobody knows any of this. I just moved here last year, halfway through the school year, and nobody knows anything about me. I won't tell, she said again. I'm not sure why I believed her, but for the first time ever, I told someone my secret. My brother's name was Michael. The football cards were his. He was older than me. He had Down syndrome and leukemia and was real sick, so my parents had me in order to save him. I could feel Jessica looking at me after telling her that last part, but I kept staring at the computer. They gave Michael my stem cells, special cells that can turn into anything else in your body, hoping that they would become what Michael needed. It worked for a while, but then he got sick again. He was in and out of the hospital a lot, so that's how I learned about kids with special needs. I stopped. The computer was quiet. Jessica hadn't pushed anything on the keyboard. She was listening. Then the summer before fourth grade, I gave my bone marrow to Michael. It was his last chance. Everything else had failed. I stopped again. My throat was tightening around the lump in it. It was going to be hard to tell the rest. What happened? Jessica said. It worked, but not fast enough. Michael got sick before his body could fight the cancer off. I didn't save him. The screensaver bounced around. I stared at it. Then Jessica said something no one had ever said to me before. It's not your fault, Jeffrey. I got up and walked to the bathroom. I had to. So I'll pause there. So wow, we know who Michael is. This is a really big chapter grouping, and we're not even together reading this. So we know who Michael is and how he is related to Jeffrey's story. And then I don't know if you caught that last part where he says, oh my gosh, I can't find it. Then Jessica, at the very bottom, then Jessica said something no one had ever said to me before. It's not your fault, Jeffrey. Oh, that breaks my heart. I mean, that to me is a contrast and contradiction that no one has ever even said that to him in this situation. He's trying to save his brother and he couldn't. Okay, so I'll pause if you want to record a signpost. And I'm going to pause. You pause. Record your signpost. And then I'm going to move on to page 94, Anna. I never had a teacher stick up for me before. I'd get picked on and made fun of, and my teachers never did anything. Maybe because I never did anything either. I didn't cry or get upset. I just stayed quiet. Maybe it seemed like it didn't bother me, but nobody's got skin that big. Mr. Terupt did something. I loved him for that. He wasn't real happy about it, though. He wanted us to do the sticking up for each other. I didn't know if I could do that, but with Jessica and Danielle by my side, I knew I'd try. Mr. Terupt was right about that. Things were much easier in our group after the whole Alexia incident. She came back quiet and remained quiet for the rest of the day and every day after that. I knew she was feeling bad. A lot of girls had felt the same way because of her, so I figured it was only fair. But it bothered me too. Mom has always told me, we don't have enough days to waste being upset or sad. Gotta be happy and have fun, Anna. I think mom's positive attitude is pretty amazing, especially after all she's been through. And I think she's right. We weren't mean to Alexia, but we left her alone. I hope she'd be different now that Mr. Terupt had held a conference with her. During the time we worked on our center, I found the courage to do something I hadn't ever done before. One day during recess, while doing some stick sketching in the dirt, I took a deep breath and plunged ahead. Would you guys like to come over to my house for a play date? I asked Jessica and Danielle. Jessica looked up. I'd love to, she said. She glanced at Danielle, who kept her head down and continued sketching. Danielle's really good at drawing, so I thought maybe she just wanted to finish her sketch. Snap! Her stick broke in half. But I'll need to check with my mom first, Jessica added. Me too, Danielle said, but she still didn't look up. Let me ask my mom. You don't have to come over if you don't want to, I said to Danielle. No, I want to, she said, looking right at me this time. I believed her. Then she looked away. But I need to get permission. The recess whistle blew. Danielle had drawn three girls holding hands in the dirt. I smiled. They both wanted to come over. I just hoped their mothers said yes. Okay, so you can pause here. I'm so glad that Anna, well, don't pause while I'm talking. Anna, like reached out now to Danielle and Jessica, which makes me happy. And that Mr. Truck was a teacher that stuck up for her too, which also makes me happy. So you can pause if you need to add to your signpost log. And then I'm going to start on page 96. So this is Danielle. The holiday centers turned out great. It was a lot of hard work, especially with Alexia in our group, but Mr. Terupt took care of her. She wasn't the same after that. She became real quiet, which helped us get our center put together smoothly. Jessica and Jeffrey completed the trivia game. They came up with some really great questions. Luke loved playing it when he visited our holiday. He said he learned a lot from it, which Mr. Terupt was happy to hear. Mr. Terupt hung around our center because of the cookies. I made them, even after what Alexia said about me. My mom and grandma helped me find a recipe that used cumin, which is a spice. The three of us spent a lot of time together in the kitchen. It was a perfect opportunity to ask about going to Anna's, but I just couldn't get myself to do it. The best part of our holiday centers day took place when our collaborative friends visited. That was Peter's great idea. Some of the games were hard for them, but we all helped. They were able to do the crafts and eat special foods, like my cookies. James liked our craft project where you had to cut thin strips of paper and staple rings together to make a long chain. The chain is a calendar to help you count down the days of Ramadan, which can be 29 or 30 days long. Our chain included way more links than that because our guests kept adding them. 137, James said, after eyeing the chain for just a few seconds. Then he started attaching more links. James really liked the surprise I had for him. I put together a collection of photographs of Middle Eastern farms and farming. He sat down and started talking about them and studying them. Seeing James like this made me happy. Jeffrey surprised us. Once Joey showed up, Jeffrey pulled out this little memory game that he had made with pairs of matching cards with different Ramadan pictures on them. He and Joey played. It was a super wonderful day. Mr. Terupt was smiling. So was I. Oh, I love this. Okay, so again, just thinking about the connection between this group and how like changes occurred after Mr. Terupt called Lexi out on her behavior, and then just like how their collaboration came together and how well they were able to complete this project. You can stop if you found a signpost you want to record. And I'm going to move on to page 98, which is Jessica. Act 5, Scene 1. Hi, honey. How was school? Mom asked as I climbed into the car. Mom was great about giving me rides home whenever she could. Some kids, like Jeffrey, had to ride the bus every day. Mom's trying to get serious about her writing. She's already very skilled at it, having helped on some of Dad's plays back in California, but now she's writing for herself. That's why she's free in the afternoons to pick me up sometimes. We're lucky to have enough money so that my mom doesn't have to get a steady job right now. She can actually pursue her passion. I hope I can do that someday too. Mom did get a part-time job at a local bookstore so she can interact with people and keep her mind from wandering back to California. My mind still wanders back there, but not like it did a few months ago. My dad hasn't called again. School was fine, I said. I buckled my seatbelt and away we drove. Mom, you've heard me talk about Anna and Danielle, right? Yes. Is something wrong? Mom stepped on the brakes harder than usual and we jerked into a halt at the stop sign. I shook my head. Nothing's wrong, I said. I looked my way. Coast is clear. Mom eased off the brakes. Anna asked Danielle and me over to her house. That's great, Jessica, Mom said. Yes, but I know Danielle won't be going. How do you know that? I filled Mom in on what I knew about Anna's mother, and I explained why Danielle's mom wouldn't allow Danielle to associate with the likes of Anna. Mom turned right onto our road. Well, I'm not going to say no just because Anna's mother made a mistake once. We pulled into our driveway and Mom put the car in park. If Danielle is a nice girl, I bet her mother is too, Mom said. But we'll make our own minds about what kind of person Anna's mother really is. Dad made a mistake. You didn't want to give him another chance, I said. Your father didn't want another chance, Mom said. He made that clear before we left. She paused. The divorce papers came today. I sat all quiet. Mom's bluntness really zapped me. I'm sorry, honey, Mom said. I'm sure your father will call soon. I shrugged. You don't need to lie to make me feel better. Okay, you're right, she sighed. I've always been honest and upfront with you. Another sigh. I don't know if he'll call. Okay, so this completes the next section. So was this entire month December? Is it? We must have started this already at school. So maybe take a minute, look back at the pages, and you can update your signpost log. Again, I'm not asking for a signpost after every single page. Just, you can note one or two if you find one. So I'm going to keep reading. I'm hoping that I'll finish the next section, but we'll just kind of see how this goes. Okay, so I'm going to move on to page 103, which is Jessica. Did I say that we're in January? January. Act 6, Scene 1. Anna's house was small but cozy, just the right size for her and her mother. It was painted white with gray shutters, and there was a nice front porch. Anna met us there. We said our hellos, and before I knew it, my mom was shaking hands with Terry. That's Anna's mom. Terry invited my mom in for a cup of coffee, and they disappeared into the kitchen. Anna led me to her bedroom. I hope our moms become friends, I said. Me too, Anna said. My mom doesn't have any. Neither does mine, I thought. In California, my dad was always the one working and socializing, while my mom hung out with me. We didn't see him much. Even back then, he was very busy. He called the other day and asked Mom if she received the divorce papers. That was it. He didn't even ask to talk to me. You're reading Belle Teal, I said to Anna. I saw the book sitting on her nightstand. Do you like it? I do, Anna said. Mom brought it home for me from the library where she works. I didn't know Terry worked in the library. How exciting. I wanted to talk to her about books. And then Anna told me that her mother was taking some art classes. She showed me some of her mom's artwork. Amazing. I immediately thought of Danielle and hoped she would get a chance to meet Terry and discover for herself the connection they shared. After that, Anna showed me the rest of her books and her rock collection. Then I taught her how to make worry dolls, something I learned from one of the characters in a book I read. I figured the dolls could worry about my dad because I was done with that. Our playdate was perfect and it flew by like a day at the amusement park. We said our thank yous and goodbyes and agreed to do it again. Driving home, Mom said, What you heard about Terry was right. Poor girl. I stayed quiet. After seeing Terry myself, I knew the story was right. She looked very young. I told her about your father, Mom said. I remained quiet. I didn't know how to feel. Surprised, angry, happy. I felt all of these at the same time. Mom was quiet now, too. I guess we were busy thinking to ourselves. Okay, so now Jessica gets to meet Anna's mom and kind of form her own opinions. And Danielle, we know, of course, wasn't there, but maybe things hopefully will change. So you can stop and record a signpost. And I'm going to move on to page 105, which is Anna. Danielle wasn't able to come to my first play date because of bad timing, but Jessica made it. We had a blast. Jessica's mom drove her over, but instead of dropping Jessica off and leaving, she came to our front door and accepted Mom's invitation for a cup of coffee. I was really glad. My mom never has anyone over, so it turned out to be her first play date too. Maybe she was done paying for the mistake now. I sure hope so. And since I was the mistake, I felt like it was my fault. I wanted to help her find a friend and a husband. The afternoon flew by. After Jessica and her mother left, Mom pulled me into a hug. Those are genuine people, Anna, she said. You found a good friend there. You can get as close to her as you want. Mom's words made me smile. I hoped Danielle could come the next time. I was sure Mom would think the same of her. I love that part too, about how she's like, you can be as close to her as you want. Okay, so if you found a signpost, you can stop. I'm going to move on to page 107, Danielle. Class meeting, Mr. Terupt announced. This was one of my favorite times in the classroom. We all moved our desks out of the way and made a circle with our chairs. Everybody sat in a circle, even Mr. Terupt. He held on to the microphone. It wasn't a real microphone, but we used it as our talking object. You can only speak when you have the microphone. I waited for Mr. Terupt to get us started. It looks like our chain should touch the floor soon, as long as you guys can give me another great day or two, Mr. Terupt said. The chain was our class reward system. Mr. Terupt had hung a single link from the ceiling on the first day of school, and he attached the link each time we had an outstanding day as a class. Our goal was to get the chain to touch the floor, at which point we earn a free day. You've done super so far, Mr. Terupt said, so I'm wondering what you'd like to do for your free day. Mr. Terupt passed the mic to his left. You didn't have to say anything if you didn't want to. Alexia passed it on to the next person. Ever since Mr. Terupt had taken her out into the hall, she hadn't said anything. Luke was the first one to make a great suggestion. Why can't we just have time to do whatever we want? It'd be like indoor recess, but we could plan it better and just have free time. I like Luke's idea, Jeffrey piped up when he got the mic. If it's free time, maybe James and Joey and Emily or any of the collaborative kids could come up for a little bit. Or if we wanted, some of us could go down there. We could bring in games, Anna added, taking the mic. Then it was my turn. I think we should do what everyone suggested for part of the day, I said, but maybe we could go outside too. Everyone cheered. It was weird having the other girls agree with me. If Alexia had been her old self, she would have controlled them. But now that Alexia was sidelined, all the girls got along better. Isn't that interesting, everyone? Mm-hmm. Not having girl wars didn't mean everything was perfect. I still had a problem, Anna. I hadn't gone to her play date because I'd been too chicken to ask my mom. I made up some excuse about it being a bad weekend for my family. Jessica told me she had a great time and that Anna's mom was friendly. Now Anna asked us about coming over again. Find out when it will be a good weekend for your family and we'll plan the play date for then, Anna told me. I've got to mention it to my mom this time. I just have to. Mr. Terupt was last to speak at the meeting. I like what I've heard, he said. We could plan for part of the day to be spent inside playing games. Then we get some fresh air. I'll think about it some more and let you know. But first, you need to earn the last link. Meeting adjourned, he said. He always ends by saying that. I really like these meetings. The first time we had one, Mr. Terupt told us that it was his way for everyone to have a voice. I didn't get it at first, but now I do. Oh, I love that too. Okay, so a little bit more information, especially about the effects of Lexi and the girls. Maybe you found a signpost. You can stop and record one. I'm going to move on to page 110, which is Peter. Just peeking at how many more pages. Yeah, I think I can get through it. Okay, 110, Peter. We finally earned a class reward, or almost. I really hope Mr. T would come through for us about going outside. So I shot my hand up as soon as the class started the next day. What is it now, Peter? Mr. T said. Have you thought about us going outside? The school rule says we can't go out in the snow. We can go out on the blacktop, but it's too crowded and there's nothing to do. Everyone was quiet. They listened because they knew I was right. Well, Peter, I like how you're thinking ahead. I did talk to Mrs. Williams, and she gave us special permission to go out in the snow as long as everyone has snow pants and hats and gloves and boots. She gave us special permission even after we all saw her underwear, I said. Yes, Mr. T said, trying to move us past the giggles that started. Permission for the snow? I asked again, just to make sure I had it right. In the snow, Mr. T said, the key being everyone needs to bring their stuff or else we can't go out. I couldn't believe it. When I went to bed that night, I had visions of snowballs dancing in my head. It was going to be the best class party day ever. So maybe a signpost you noticed about Peter or Mr. Terupt in this section, so you can pause and record. I'm going to move on to page 112, Jessica. Act 7, Scene 1. The class bubbled with energy. Mr. Terupt had just attached the last link needed for our paper chain to touch the floor. The links were hard to come by with the likes of Peter and Alexia in our classroom, but we did it. Congratulations, you've earned your free day, Mr. Terupt said. A class party day. Peter couldn't believe it. None of us could really, but Peter was beside himself. The only thing he could wrap his brain around was going outside to play in the snow. Don't forget your snow stuff, California girl, he said to me. I didn't need reminding. It was all I could think about, but not because I was excited. Act 7, Scene 2. I raised my hand tentatively and waited for Mr. Terupt to call on me. It was nearly time to go home. I couldn't wait any longer. You have a question, Jessica? Yes, sort of, I said. I have a problem. I don't have any snow pants. I didn't need them in California. Silence. It was like I sucked all the excitement out of the classroom with a gigantic vacuum hose. Peter glared at me. I couldn't look at him. Then I saw Luke raise his hand. Mr. Terupt called on him. Lukester, I have a pair of snow pants Jessica can borrow. They're my sister's old ones. That a baby, Lukester, Peter yipped. Saved. Thanks, Lukester. That's very nice of you, Mr. Terupt said, looking in my direction. I'm sure Jessica will take them. I could only nod. Yes, Peter yelled. This is going to be great. I thought so too, especially after Luke's generosity. I always thought Luke only cared about himself. Maybe I was wrong to prejudge him. Mr. Terupt sat at his desk smiling. He reminded me of the old professor in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Did he know everything? I mean, there's a lot of good signposts in just that short little section. Okay, so problem solved. They are getting ready for their class party day. And now Jessica has snow pants so they can all participate. Page 114, Luke. 27 links. That's how many it took for the chain to hit the floor. I was wrong. I'd estimated 26. Mr. Terupt had us estimate the final number when we only had 5. Most everybody jotted down random guesses, but I took a ruler and measured the length of what we had and the length left to reach the floor. The real problem was that the links were all different sizes, a variable that I couldn't control. I averaged the links that were hanging and used that to help me come up with the 26. Or with 26. I don't know why I put it on there. All right, gang, Mr. Terupt said. 27 links. Let's see if anyone had guessed that. He had all our guesses stuffed in an empty coffee can. I was hoping to be the closest. Maybe nobody got it right. He pulled our little scraps of paper out one by one. 21, 30, dollar word, 50. Everyone laughed except me. 23. Aha, he said. Here's one. 27. I lost it. I can't believe I was wrong. And the winner is Anna. She must have guessed. There's no way she could have figured it out. Anna walked up to Mr. Terupt with her head held high. At least the winner wasn't Peter or Alexia. Congratulations, Anna, Mr. Terupt said. He handed her a homework pass. She was all smiles. I didn't need one of those anyway. Yay, Anna, Jessica said. Way to go. But wait, Mr. Terupt said. There seems to be one more estimate that's correct. Must be Luke's, I heard someone whisper. Drum roll, please, Mr. Terupt said. Oh, I could do it. There's my drum roll. And the second winner is Peter. No way, I screamed inside my head. Of course, Peter made a major production of walking to the front of the room and taking a dramatic bow. Thank you, he said. This is a great honor. Mr. Terupt handed him a homework pass. Get out of here, he said. Everyone laughed except me. Peter flashed his homework pass in my face. The Elmer sneakers didn't bother me, but this did. I felt hot. My face and ears burned. I turned lobster red. I could feel it. I'm going to get even, I thought. The chain has touched the floor, Mr. Terupt announced. It's time for a free day. My colleagues, Dollar Word, and I were in for a treat. Mr. Terupt told us that we would be going outside. Great, I thought. But what's the catch? Was he going to tell us to bring our shovels, Dollar Word, to find out how many scoops it would take to clear the parking lot? Nope. Just snow pants, hats, boots, and mittens. Dollar Word. We had the okay from Mrs. Williams to play in the snow as long as everyone had the proper snow clothes. Jessica threw us the curveball, and boy, was it a bender. She didn't have snow pants. Talk about hitting us with the unexpected. So who comes to the rescue? Me. I had to. Plus, I liked Jessica. She was serious about school, and I didn't want to miss the chance to inoculate Dollar Word Peter with a snowball. I mean, can you believe it? And poor Luke. Okay, so a couple, I feel like there's some tough questions in there and maybe another signpost that you've noticed. So go ahead and pause if you would like to record one. I have one more page of this section. So page 117, Jeffrey. It's not your fault. That was what Jessica had said to me, and that was what I kept repeating in my head. The only other person to ever tell me that was Michael. It was just before he died. I have a hard time believing it, but his words still make me feel a little better. I need his words and Jessica's because I know mom and dad blame me. They sure don't love me. Why else are they so silent? They don't speak to me, rarely, and they never speak to each other. Dad is starting going to work again, but mom mopes around the house. She hasn't been out of her pajamas since Michael's funeral. Christmas was tough again this year. It was our second one without Michael, not that we celebrated either time. Dad got a tree this year, though. It showed up one day in our living room. I put a few decorations on it. Mom pretended it wasn't there. Oh, I hate leaving on a sad note. So again, poor Jeffrey who's struggling, but at least he has Jessica to talk to, which makes me feel better too. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. Isn't this so awkward? You can't see me, but you can hear me. You can't see me. I'm like John Cena. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this little reading selection section time. And yay, we get to read in person together on Tuesday. Okay, thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed this section.